It was just after midnight, July 1985. Inside a quiet home in Arcadia, 16-year-old Whitney Bennett lay in bed. The street outside was still, the kind of stillness that makes you feel safe, but she had no idea what was about to happen. A shadow slipped through an unlocked door, no sound, no warning, and then violence exploded into the room. In the space of minutes, Whitney's world was ripped apart by a man whose face she'd never seen. A man who came not for money, not for revenge, but for the rush of blood and fear. That man was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. And in the summer of 1985, Los Angeles learned that anyone, anywhere, could be next. Doors were bolted, windows nailed shut, police worked around the clock. The city was filled with horror, but the nightmare wasn't over. In fact, it had only just begun. This is the story of the Night Stalker. On July 20th, 1985, inside a small suburban home, 32-year-old Maxon Niding and his wife Layla were asleep in their bed. They didn't hear the window slide open. They didn't hear the footsteps on the carpet. The man who had just entered wasn't there to rob them. He was there to kill. When dawn broke, Los Angeles awoke to yet another horror. The papers called him a phantom, the police called him the suspect, but to the public, he became something else entirely. The Night Stalker. This was not a single crime. This was a spree, a storm of violence, satanic rituals, and random terror that would paralyze Southern California. And the chase to stop him would become one of the most intense manhunts in American history. Detectives would later trace Richard Ramirez's first known murder back to June 28, 1984. 79-year-old Jenny Vinkow, a widow living in Glassell Park, was found by her son sprawled on her bed. Her throat slashed so deeply, she was nearly decapitated. She had also been sexually assaulted. The brutality was shocking, not just the act itself, but the apparent randomness. No forced entry, no signs of burglary. Whoever did this entered silently, killed without hesitation, and left without leaving much behind. The case went cold. No leads, no suspects, just a grisly warning of what was to come. Fast forward to March 17, 1985. Maria Hernandez, 22, was pulling her car into the garage of her home in Rosemead. She heard footsteps. A shadow emerged. The man pointed a .22 caliber pistol at her face and fired. The bullet ricocheted off her car keys, sparing her life. He went inside and shot her roommate, Dale Okazaki, once in the forehead, killing her instantly. That same night, Tsai Lian Yu, 30, was dragged from her car in Monterey Park and shot twice. Witnesses saw a man in black flee the scene. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department began to realize this wasn't coincidence. Someone was hunting. Detective Gil Carrillo of the LA Sheriff's Homicide Bureau was one of the first to see a possible pattern. The killer targeted both men and women, young and old, across different neighborhoods. Race, age, lifestyle, none of it mattered. But Carrillo was new to the Bureau, and his theory was met with skepticism. Serial killers didn't usually strike so randomly. Then the killings began to stack up. March 27, 1985, Whittier. Vincent Zazara, 64, was shot in his sleep with a .22. His wife Maxine, 44, was stabbed multiple times, her body mutilated and her eyes gouged out. Ramirez later admitted to taking her eyes as a trophy, storing them in a jewelry box. This was the first clear sign that the killer wasn't just violent. He was driven by something darker. He often left pentagrams scrawled on walls, muttering oaths to Satan. Veteran homicide detective Frank Salerno, famous for solving the Hillside Strangler case, was brought in. Salerno and Carrillo teamed up, forming the lead investigative unit. They noticed the killer moved fluidly across Southern California, Alhambra, Arcadia, Monrovia, Glendale, hitting homes in different counties. This made jurisdiction tricky. Multiple departments were chasing the same phantom without realizing it. May 1985. A 6-year-old girl was kidnapped from her home in Azusa, assaulted, and released in Echo Park. This marked a disturbing expansion of the killer's methods. The victim's description of her attacker, tall, thin, with rotting teeth and a foul odor, began to give detectives a clearer picture. By late summer, the detectives caught a break. At several crime scenes, they found the same unusual Avia sneaker print, size 11.5. Only 6 pairs had been sold in that size in the entire Los Angeles area. This was gold. It meant they could now link cases with certainty. Every time that footprint appeared, it was him. On August 24, 1985, Ramirez committed what would be his final known murder, killing Bill Carnes and seriously injuring his fiancée, Inez Erickson. As he fled, a witness noted the license plate of his orange Toyota. The car was found abandoned in East Los Angeles. Inside, a single perfect fingerprint on the rearview mirror. It matched Richard Ramirez, a 25-year-old drifter with a long rap sheet for theft and drugs. His mugshot was released to the public. The next day, Ramirez walked into a convenience store in East LA. His face was everywhere, on newspaper racks, TV screens, and flyers. When a group of locals recognized him, they chased him down the street. Ramirez ran, but he was cornered, beaten, and held until police arrived. The Night Stalker's reign was over. Ramirez's trial became a media spectacle. He flashed a pentagram tattoo on his hand, shouted, "Hail Satan," in the courtroom, and showed no remorse. The evidence was overwhelming. Ballistic matches, footprints, fingerprints, stolen property, and survivor testimony. In 1989, he was convicted of 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 burglaries. He was sentenced to death. Ramirez died in 2013, still on death row from cancer. Richard Ramirez's unpredictability made him one of the most terrifying serial killers in modern history. Detectives Salerno and Carrillo would later say that what made him so dangerous was that he truly believed in the evil he worshipped. His reign of terror was over, yet the darkness didn't leave with him. Because across the ocean, in the Soviet Union, another killer was already on the hunt. One colder, more calculated, and with an appetite for brutality that would make even the Night Stalker seem restrained. His name was Andrei Chikatilo, the Butcher of Rostov, a man who murdered children and women in ways so horrifying, police could barely speak of them. That's the story we'll uncover in our next episode. Subscribe now, because this is only the beginning.